There's a disturbing paradox destroying the minds of ambitious people right now. People who work harder than everyone around them. Who consume countless books on productivity. Who optimize their morning routines. Who practice meditation. Who eliminate distractions. Who drink green tea and take cold showers and journal religiously. Do everything right. And yet, their minds move slower when it matters most. They freeze during critical decisions. Overthink simple problems. Watch opportunities slip away while they're still calculating. Their brains, overloaded with frameworks and mental models and best practices, become their greatest liability. The faster the world moves, the slower they think. Here's what nobody tells you. The problem isn't that you need more knowledge. It's that everything you've learned has built a prison inside your skull. And there's a 400-year-old samurai protocol that dissolves this prison in a way modern neuroscience is only beginning to understand. If you don't grasp this principle, you'll spend your life watching faster thinkers seize what should be yours. You'll always be one step behind. One decision too slow. One insight too late. But if you understand what I'm about to share, you'll develop a quality the samurai called Shoshin, the mind that moves at the speed of reality itself. In this video, you'll discover the counterintuitive secret behind cognitive speed. Why masters in every field, from swordsmanship to surgery, think faster with less effort. And the specific protocol to rewire your own mental processing starting today. This isn't another productivity hack. This is about becoming someone who sees clearly while others drown in thought. Spring, 1604. The outskirts of Kyoto. Cherry blossoms drifted through the courtyard of the Yaju dojo, falling like snow onto wooden floors still dark with morning dew. The air carried the sharp scent of hinoki wood and sword oil. Somewhere in the distance, temple bells marked the hour. Takashi was 19 years old when he realized his mind was his enemy. He'd been training under the Yaju-ryu school for 6 years. Studied kata until his muscles remembered every angle, every pivot, every strike. He could recite the teachings of Sun Tzu and Miyamoto Musashi from memory. He understood timing, distance, posture, all the technical elements that separated a swordsman from a brawler. He could execute a perfect tsuki thrust in under half a second. But he had a problem that no amount of practice could fix. He thought too much. During sparring, his mind became a battlefield of competing strategies. Should I feint high or low? Is he favoring his right side? What if he's baiting me? Remember what sensei said about maintaining center. Watch his shoulders. No, watch his eyes. Which principle applies here? By the time he chose an action, the moment had passed. Other students, less knowledgeable, less disciplined, moved with a speed that baffled him. They weren't smarter. They hadn't studied more. Yet they responded to attacks he was still analyzing. They saw openings he discovered too late. The dojo whispered about him. Takashi of the thousand thoughts. Some said it with pity. Others with barely concealed contempt. His senior, a swordsman named Jubei, once told him, "You fight like a scholar. All that knowledge in your head, it's drowning you." Takashi didn't understand. How could knowledge be the problem? Wasn't mastery built on understanding? He trained harder. Rose before dawn to practice kata. Stayed after dark, repeating strikes until his hands bled. Studied scrolls by candlelight, convinced that one more principle, one more insight, would unlock the speed he craved. It didn't. One humid morning in late summer, Takashi was alone in the dojo, moving through a training sequence, his mind once again tangled in self-correction. Too slow. Footwork is off. Remember, no, that's not right either. You're thinking about your thinking. Takashi spun around. An old man stood in the doorway, leaning on a walking stick. He wore the simple robes of a wandering monk, his face weathered like ancient wood, eyes sharp as polished stone. Takashi bowed quickly. "Forgive me, I didn't hear you enter." The old man stepped forward, moving with a strange fluidity that seemed to bypass the normal mechanics of walking. "Show me your fastest strike," he said. Takashi hesitated, then assumed his stance. He focused, drew a breath, calculated the optimal. "Too late," the old man said. "You're already defeated." Takashi's face flushed. "With respect, you asked me to. I asked you to strike. Instead, you prepared to strike. You thought about striking. You decided to strike. By the time your sword moved, 3 men could have killed you." The old man's eyes held no judgment. Only a quiet, terrible clarity. "What's your name, boy?" "Takashi." "Takashi. Do you know why you're slow?" I overthink. I know this. I'm trying to. No, the old man's voice was soft but absolute. You're slow because you're trying to hold water in your hands. The tighter you grip, the faster it escapes. Takashi stared at him, uncomprehending. The old man smiled faintly. Come. I'm going to teach you something the Yagyu masters learned from a tea ceremony expert 50 years ago. Something that will make you faster than everyone in this dojo. He turned toward the door. But first, you must be willing to become stupid. What followed would transform not just how Takashi fought, but how he existed in the world. The first 3 weeks were psychological torture. The old man, who finally revealed his name as Kenshin, a former Rinzai Zen monk, gave Takashi one instruction. Stop naming things. That was it. No kata. No drills. No strategy sessions. Just, stop naming things. When Takashi asked what this meant, Kenshin said, when you see a sword, your mind says sword. When you see an opening, your mind says opening. When you feel fear, your mind says I am afraid. These words create distance. Distance creates delay. Delay creates death. Takashi's mind rebelled. Every moment of sparring felt like drowning. His thoughts screamed for labels, categories, judgments. That's an overhead strike. This is a weak defense. I should counter. No, wait. That's dangerous. I need to. Without the comfortable framework of naming and analyzing, he felt exposed, vulnerable, almost childlike. He lost every bout. Badly. The other students noticed. Jubei approached him after training one evening. What happened to you? You used to at least put up a fight. Takashi had no answer. He continued because something in Kenshin's eyes suggested the old man knew a secret worth suffering for. Week 4 brought a shift. During morning practice, Takashi faced a junior student named Hiro, someone he'd always beaten easily. Hiro came at him with a diagonal slash. And for just 3 seconds, something extraordinary happened. Takashi didn't think diagonal slash. He didn't calculate angles or recall defensive principles. He didn't make a decision. His body simply moved. Pivoted. Deflected. Countered. The wooden sword stopped an inch from Hiro's throat. Both of them froze. It felt like falling through a trapdoor into a space with different physics. No thoughts. No time gap between seeing and responding. Just, movement arising from emptiness. The moment passed. Takashi's mind rushed back in. What just happened? Did I do that? How? And he was slow again. But now, Takashi knew something impossible was possible. That evening, he found Kenshin sitting by the koi pond, watching the fish with the same intensity most people reserved for mortal threats. It happened, Takashi said, breathless. For a few seconds, there was no thought. Just response. Kenshin didn't look up. And how did it feel? Effortless. Like the action knew itself. Like I wasn't doing it. Because you weren't. Kenshin finally turned to him. The sword moved. Takashi watched. This is the beginning of Shoshin. Beginner's mind, Takashi translated. No, Kenshin's voice sharpened. That's the shallow translation everyone knows. Sho, original, unfiltered, direct. Shin, heart-mind, consciousness itself. Not the mind of a beginner. The mind before learning created barriers. The mind that meets reality without translation. He stood, his joints creaking. You tasted it for 3 seconds. Now you must learn to live there. This is harder than anything you've ever done. Because everything you've learned, every technique, every principle, every insight you've collected like precious stones, will fight to survive. Takashi intensified his practice. When he walked, he stopped labeling his surroundings. Instead of thinking tree, path, cloud, he let raw sensory data pour through him unnamed. When he ate, he didn't think bitter, hot, good. Just taste itself. Temperature itself. Texture itself. When he practiced with the sword, he stopped trying to recognize attack patterns. No more this is a feint or he's committed to the strike. Just shapes moving through space. Energy flowing. Response arising. The other students thought he'd gone mad. He moved differently now, less precise by conventional standards, but with an eerie naturalness. In sparring, he sometimes made mistakes that worked. Took angles that broke form but collapsed his opponent's defense. But Kenshin watched, said nothing, waited. 6 months into training, a ronin, a masterless samurai, arrived at the dojo seeking a match. The man was in his 30s, scarred, with the casual arrogance of someone who'd survived too many real fights to fear wooden swords. He'd heard of the Yaju school's reputation and wanted to test himself. The sensei agreed. Selected Jubei, the dojo's finest swordsman, to represent them. The match lasted 8 seconds. The Ronin moved with brutal efficiency, overwhelming Jubei's technically perfect defense through sheer aggressive pressure. Jubei went down hard, gasping. The Ronin looked around the dojo, unimpressed. Anyone else? Silence. Then Kenshin's voice, quiet from the back, Takashi. Every head turned. Takashi's heart hammered. Old Takashi of 6 months ago, would have been thinking, this man is dangerous. He's stronger than Jubei. I need a strategy. Watch for patterns. Stay defensive. Don't. New Takashi walked to the center of the dojo floor. Drew his bokken. Breathed. The Ronin smirked. Fresh meat. He attacked. What happened next, witnesses would argue about for years. The Ronin came in fast, a powerful overhead strike designed to break through any defense. Takashi's body moved before the strike completed its arc. Not blocking. Not dodging. Something else. A subtle angle shift that placed him inside the Ronin's guard, his own weapon rising in a trajectory that seemed to unfold from the spaces between intentions. The tip of Takashi's sword touched the Ronin's throat. Complete stillness. The Ronin's eyes went wide, not with fear, but with recognition. He stepped back slowly, lowered his weapon, bowed deeply. I have no wish to continue, he said quietly. Thank you for the lesson. After he left, the dojo erupted. The students surrounded Takashi, demanding explanations, asking for the technique's name, wanting to know his strategy. Takashi had no answers. Because the truth was, he didn't know what he'd done. There'd be no technique. No strategy. No decision tree. Just the Ronin's energy, meeting Takashi's emptiness, and a response that emerged from silence faster than thought could track. That evening, Kenshin called him to the temple garden. The old monk sat beneath a maple tree, its leaves just beginning to turn crimson. A tea set waited on a flat stone between them. Sit, Kenshin said. Takashi knelt. For several minutes, Kenshin said nothing, just prepared tea with movements so economical they seemed to bypass effort entirely. The water poured. The whisk turned. The bowl rotated. Finally, do you understand what happened today? No, Takashi admitted. I didn't think. I didn't plan. I just moved. Yes. And you moved faster than someone with more experience, more strength, more killing intent. Why? Takashi considered. Because I wasn't carrying extra weight. Closer. Kenshin handed him a tea bowl. What does thought require? Attention. Time. Kenshin's eyes gleamed. Every word your mind speaks takes time. Every label, every judgment, every comparison, microseconds stacking into seconds. When you see a strike and think overhead attack, your brain must 1. Receive visual data. 2. Match it to a stored category. 3. Recall appropriate responses. 4. Evaluate which response fits. 5. Command the body to execute. 6. Monitor execution and adjust. He held up 6 fingers. 6 steps. Each taking time. Each adding distance between reality and response. Kenshin took a slow sip of tea. But when you meet the strike with Shoshin, with consciousness that hasn't divided itself into observer and observed, into problem and solution, there are no steps. Seeing and responding become one motion. Perception and action collapse into simultaneity. He set down his bowl. This is what I meant when I said you must become stupid. Not ignorant, that's different. Stupid in the original sense, stupefied. Stunned into silence. The mind so empty of commentary that reality can pour through it at the speed of light. Something clicked in Takashi's understanding. The knowledge is still there, he said slowly. The 6 years of training. But it's not. Not between you and the moment, Kenshin finished. Yes. Mastery isn't knowing what to do. It's becoming someone from whom right action flows without consultation. He leaned forward. Listen carefully, Takashi. The swordsmen you train with, they're trying to get faster by learning more. More techniques. More strategies. More patterns to recognize. They're building a library in their minds, hoping speed will come from quicker access to information. But it doesn't work, Takashi said. No. Because the bottleneck isn't access speed. It's that there's a library at all. Every book in that collection is a door you must open before acting. Shoshin removes the doors. Removes the walls. Removes the building. until there's nothing between stimulus and response except the lightning of pure awareness. The temple bell rang in the distance. Kenshin stood, bones creaking. You've learned to taste it. Now you must learn to live there. To make Shoshin your permanent residence, not a place you visit. This is the work of a lifetime, Takashi. But you've taken the hardest step. You've proven to yourself that the mind can move faster than thought. He placed a hand on Takashi's shoulder. Your real training begins now. Before we continue, let's understand what was actually happening. Modern cognitive neuroscience has discovered something the samurai knew 400 years ago. Your brain processes information through two distinct systems, what psychologist Daniel Kahneman calls System 1 and System 2. System 2 is deliberate, analytical, conscious. It's the voice in your head narrating experience, making plans, solving problems. It runs at about 40 to 60 bits of information per second. Powerful, but slow. System 1 is automatic, intuitive, unconscious. It processes sensory data, recognizes patterns, generates responses without consultation. It runs at approximately 11 million bits per second. When Takashi practiced Shoshin, he wasn't learning to think faster. He was learning to stop bottlenecking reality through System 2's narrow channel. This isn't mysticism. This is measurable neuroscience. Studies on expert performers, elite athletes, fighter pilots, surgeons, chess grandmasters, show a consistent pattern. Their brains don't work harder during high-performance moments. They work quieter. Less activation in the prefrontal cortex, the seat of conscious deliberation. More activation in the basal ganglia and cerebellum, areas governing automated pattern recognition and motor control. The technical term is neural efficiency. The samurai term is Shoshin. The samurai didn't have fMRI machines, but they understood the principle perfectly. Miyamoto Musashi, the legendary swordsman who killed over 60 men in duels and died undefeated, wrote in his masterwork The Book of Five Rings. In strategy, it is important to see distant things as if they were close and to take a distance view of close things. Know the smallest things and the largest things, the shallowest things and the deepest things. This is perception without distortion, the eye that sees all without naming. This is Shoshin at work. Takuan Soho, the Zen monk who advised the Yagyu clan, described it even more precisely in his text The Unfettered Mind. The mind must always be in the state of flowing, for when it stops anywhere, that means the flow is interrupted. It is this interruption that is injurious. If the mind is made to remain in one place, it stagnates. Use your mind like a mirror, receiving all, reflecting all, yet retaining nothing. But there's a deeper layer most people miss. When Takashi stopped naming phenomena, his brain stopped doing something specific. It stopped activating the default mode network, the neural circuit responsible for self-referential thinking, narrative construction, and mental time travel. This network is what generates the sense of you as an observer separate from experience. It's the voice that says I am seeing this attack rather than just attack scene. I should respond rather than response happening. It creates a time gap. First, experience occurs. Then, the narrator comments on it. Then, the commentator decides what to do. Then, the commander issues orders. Then, the body executes. This is what Kenshin meant by distance. Shoshin collapses this chain. Not by speeding up each step, but by removing the commentary entirely. When Takashi met the Ronin strike with an empty mind, there was no Takashi deciding how to respond. There was just attack energy incoming, appropriate response emerging, body moving. One unified event, not a sequence. This is what the samurai meant by mushin, no mind. Doesn't mean unconsciousness or stupidity. It means consciousness without self-consciousness. Awareness without the internal narrator hogging bandwidth. Here's the practical mechanism. Your cognitive speed isn't limited by your brain's processing power. It's limited by how many filters you force information through before acting. Every time you name something, you're routing raw sensory data through your linguistic centers, matching it against stored categories, retrieving associated information, generating a verbal description. This takes time. Every time you judge something, you're comparing current experience against stored preferences, evaluating desirability, calculating consequences. More time. Every time you narrate something, I'm seeing this, I should do that, you're activating self-referential circuits that create psychological distance from the moment. Even more time. You experience this constantly in daily life. Someone asks you a question, and the answer appears in your mind instantly, but you hesitate, second-guessing, reformulating, checking if it's right. The delay isn't because you don't know. It's because the narrator stepped between knowing and speaking. You're in a conversation, and you know exactly what to say next, but you think about saying it instead of just saying it. The spontaneous response gets filtered through "should I? Is this appropriate? How will it land?" By the time you speak, the moment's gone. You see an opportunity, a job, a relationship, a creative possibility, and recognition is instant. But then the analyzer arrives. What if it fails? Do I deserve this? Let me gather more information first. Days pass. Someone else takes it. Most people try to solve this by thinking faster, reading more books, taking courses on decision-making, practicing rapid analysis. They're building a faster system too. But Shoshin removes system 2 from the equation entirely, at least for the critical first response. Not by destroying knowledge or skill, but by letting expertise operate beneath conscious awareness, like a grandmaster who no longer calculates chess moves but simply sees the right play. This is the difference between knowledge and integration. Knowledge lives in system 2, conscious, verbal, accessible to introspection. Integration lives in system 1, unconscious, non-verbal, faster than awareness can track. The beginner must think because knowledge hasn't migrated from system 2 to system 1 yet. The intermediate practitioner still thinks because they're proud of their knowledge and want to use it consciously. The master returns to not thinking because knowledge has dissolved into pure capability. This is why Shoshin translates poorly as beginner's mind. It's not the ignorance of the beginner. It's the return to directness after mastery, not before. The beginner doesn't think because they don't know what to think. The master doesn't think because thinking is too slow for what they know. Completely different. Now let's bring this into your life. Sarah was 34, a senior software architect at a tech company in Austin. She had the same problem Takashi had, a mind full of expertise that had become a cage. Every code review turned into an internal debate. Should I suggest this pattern or that one? What if I'm wrong? Let me consider the alternatives. What would Martin Fowler do? Is this overthinking or due diligence? Every meeting, she had insights, clear, valuable, but hesitated. Reformulated. Waited for the perfect moment. Watched colleagues with half her knowledge speak up while she deliberated. Her manager's feedback: you clearly know your stuff, but you need to be more decisive. More assertive. Faster. She tried. Read books on decision-making. Practiced thinking faster. Took courses on executive presence. Nothing changed. Then she encountered Shoshin, not through samurai history, but through a rock-climbing instructor who described a similar principle called flow-state decision-making. When she learned the protocol, everything shifted. She stopped treating her knowledge as a library to consult and started treating it as a physical skill, something that operated best without commentary. In code reviews, when an insight arose, she spoke it immediately, before the analyzer could intervene. In meetings, when she saw the solution, she stated it, trusting 6 years of expertise over 6 seconds of second-guessing. In technical debates, she let her intuition lead and had justification follow, not the reverse. Within 3 months, her manager noticed the change. I don't know what happened, but you've become one of the sharpest decision-makers on the team. What happened was, she stopped thinking about thinking. Started thinking from emptiness. Here's how to practice Shoshin starting today. Step 1, the naming fast. For 1 hour each day, practice moving through experience without labeling it. Don't think coffee, car, email, frustration, opportunity. Just encounter phenomena directly, taste, shape, color, sensation, energy, without converting them to words. This sounds simple. It's not. Your mind will compulsively narrate. That's normal. You've trained it to do this for decades. When you catch yourself naming, just stop. Return to raw perception. Do this during low-stakes activities first. Washing dishes. Walking. Eating. Not during critical work, yet. Why this matters? You're teaching your brain that verbal mediation is optional, not mandatory. That direct perception is possible. Common mistake, trying to clear your mind or stop thinking. That's still system 2 managing itself. Instead, just stop feeding attention to the narrator. Let it chatter in the background while you attend to direct experience. How to know you're doing it right. Moments where you're surprised by how vivid reality becomes. Colors more saturated. Sounds more dimensional. Time dilating slightly. Step 2, the response protocol. Identify 3 daily situations where you habitually overthink. Maybe it's responding to messages. making decisions in meetings, choosing what to say in conversations. In these moments, implement the rule, first response only. When the situation arises and an initial response appears, a sentence, a decision, an action, execute it immediately. Zero analysis. Zero refinement. Zero second guessing. Trust the first arising. This will feel reckless, impulsive, dangerous. Do it anyway. Why this step matters? Your first response is usually system 1 operating, informed by all your accumulated pattern recognition, unfiltered by anxiety and perfectionism. It's often better than your considered response, which is usually just your first response wrapped in defensive justifications. The key, this only works if you've built genuine expertise. Shoshin isn't about trusting empty intuition. It's about trusting informed intuition, knowledge that's been absorbed so deeply it operates unconsciously. If you're a beginner, you still need System 2 deliberation. If you're intermediate or advanced, you need System 2 less than you think. Step 3, the silence practice. Before important meetings, decisions, or performances, take 60 seconds of complete internal silence. Not meditation. Not visualization. Not affirmations. Silence. No mental preparation. No strategy. No rehearsal. Just emptiness. This is the hardest step for high performers because it feels like negligence. Like you're not preparing properly. But here's what's actually happening, you're clearing the channel. Removing the preformed conclusions and strategies that would slow real-time responsiveness. Creating space for Shoshin to operate. The samurai did this before duels. Fighter pilots do this before combat missions. Surgeons do this before complex operations. Integration, the silence isn't absence of preparation. It's trust in preparation you've already done. It's choosing integrated expertise over last-minute conscious planning. Expected challenge, your mind will panic. I need to think about X. I need to remember Y. Solution, remind yourself that everything you need to know is already in your System 1. You're not erasing it. You're just stopping System 2 from getting in its way. Step 4, the post-action analysis. After using first response protocol, then analyze. Did it work? Why? What happened? This creates a feedback loop that trains your intuition rather than substituting conscious planning for it. If your first response was wrong, why? Was it genuinely uninformed intuition? Or was it right but you lost confidence? Most people discover something shocking. Their first responses are correct far more often than they believed. The mistakes they feared rarely materialize. And when they do, they're easily corrected in real time. Step 5, the depth integration. This is long-term work. Feed your System 1 with quality information, then trust it to process unconsciously. Study deeply. Practice deliberately. Absorb expertise. Then stop trying to use it consciously. Let it operate beneath awareness. Read extensively, but don't try to apply what you read. Just let it sink in. Practice skills, but then forget the mechanics during performance. Learn principles, but don't consult them in real time. This is how you build Shoshin at scale. Deep knowledge that operates too fast for consciousness to track. You'll face massive resistance. Your mind will say, this is irresponsible. What if I say something stupid? What if I make the wrong choice? Shouldn't I think things through? Isn't this just being impulsive? That's normal. Even Musashi struggled with trusting emptiness over planning. When this happens, remember that thinking isn't free. It costs time. And in a world that rewards speed, the person who sees clearly and acts immediately beats the person who sees perfectly and acts eventually. Start small. Name free hour during breakfast. First response protocol for low-stakes emails. Then expand. Gradually. First week, you'll feel reckless and uncomfortable. After 3 weeks, you'll notice yourself responding faster without quality loss. After 2 months, you'll start catching yourself mid-overthink and choosing directness instead. Eventually, Shoshin becomes default. You'll still use System 2 for genuinely novel problems, but for 80% of daily decisions, you'll move at the speed of integrated expertise. Takashi thought he'd learned to fight faster. But he'd discovered something deeper. Shoshin wasn't just about sword speed. It was about meeting life without the lag between reality and response. About becoming someone who moved through the world with the naturalness of water flowing downhill, not because he lacked knowledge, but because knowledge had become gravity rather than cargo. Pause. Remember the disturbing paradox we opened with? Ambitious people doing everything right, yet thinking slower when it matters most? Now you understand. They're carrying their knowledge between themselves and the moment instead of dissolving it into themselves. Building bigger libraries instead of removing the doors. This is what separates competent performers from exceptional ones. Not intelligence. Not work ethic. Not even expertise. But the willingness to let expertise operate faster than consciousness can supervise. The corporate strategist who sees the market shift before data confirms it. The artist who knows exactly what the piece needs without deliberation. The conversationalist who says the perfect thing because they are not calculating the perfect thing. The entrepreneur who seizes opportunities others are still analyzing. They're not smarter. They're emptier. They've cultivated Shoshin, the cognitive state where knowledge and action collapse into simultaneity. The samurai understood this completely. Yajuu Munariri, the legendary instructor to shoguns, wrote in his text The Life-Giving Sword. The ultimate technique is to have no technique. When the mind is nowhere, it is everywhere. When it stops in one place to deal with a single matter, all other matters are neglected. Fill yourself so full of knowledge that you overflow back into emptiness, and the sword moves itself. Shoshin doesn't make you careless. It makes you present. It doesn't make you impulsive. It makes you immediate. It doesn't make you thoughtless. It makes you faster than thought. And in a world where speed increasingly determines who wins, who gets the opportunity, closes the deal, makes the impact, seizes the moment, this changes everything. This isn't about productivity hacks or mental tricks. This is about identity transformation. About becoming someone who trusts the depth of their preparation enough to stop preparing in real time. Someone who's done the work so thoroughly that they can forget the work and just respond. Someone who moves through complexity with the directness of a child and the wisdom of a master, because they understand these aren't opposites. If you're ready to walk this path, if you're tired of watching faster thinkers seize what you're still calculating, if you're done letting the narrator in your head run interference between you and reality, subscribe to this channel. We're building a community of practitioners who choose integration over accumulation, presence over preparation, the speed of emptiness over the weight of knowledge. Shoshin doesn't make you the smartest person in the room. It makes you the person who acts while others are still thinking about acting. The person who speaks truth while others are crafting safety. The person who moves at the speed of reality itself. And that changes everything. Walk with presence. Think from emptiness. Become faster than thought.